Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Friday the 20th of June. This is part 2 of what to do when you see a cell phone or something like it lying on your bed, let's say on a Friday night, it's Shabbos, and you're not allowed to move the muktzah item. You could see yesterday's halacha where we described how this cell phone is in a severe category of muktzah that's not allowed to be moved just because you need the place. But we're going to explore now the new option, which is, okay, I'm not allowed to move it in the normal way of muktzah, but what about moving it abnormally? Like, for example, the normal way to move a cell phone is with your hand, so there is such a thing. This is how the rabbis instituted the movement of muktzah, that moving muktzah in an abnormal way they considered permissible. Therefore, if you want to move the cell phone by way of your foot, or your head, or your mouth, or your teeth, or your elbow, then seriously, no kidding around, that would be considered permissible, because when the rabbis told us not to move muktzah, they only told us not to move muktzah in its usual way, but they left us the leniency of moving muktzah in an abnormal way. Therefore, moving the cell phone via your elbow or something like that seems like pretty much, not everybody, but most rabbis would consider that a permissible way to get the cell phone off of your bed. Incidentally, just as a sidebar, I want to tell you that things that won't apply to this case, but you should just know that things that are usually moved by the body, let's say big muktzah items that need a shove of the entire body, well then the shove of the entire body becomes the normal way of moving that muktzah, and in situations like that you're not allowed to shove at that muktzah with your entire body because that's the normal way of moving it. Okay, but we'll leave that aside because that's not applicable to our case, which is the cell phone on the bed. There is a problem with just knocking the cell phone off of the bed with your elbow. As some of you are noticing as you listen, it's not exactly to do with halacha, but it's to do with the value of that very valuable item, the cell phone. When you bash it off the bed with your elbow, it's going to fall on the floor and crack and get ruined. So it would probably be permissible for you to place a pillow on the floor so that the cell phone would gently bounce off of the pillow and then, hopefully just land safely on the floor, and then all would be fine. If you could manage to accomplish it that way, according to most rabbis, that would be permissible. What about getting the cell phone off of your bed through indirect movement? Now, indirect, here we're not discussing like moving muktzah in an abnormal way, but rather moving it in an indirect way. Like, for example, pulling at the bed cover and having the phone slide off of the bed because you're pulling at the bed cover but not pulling at the phone itself. I hope that doesn't sound like a crazy legal loophole, but it's really technically, again, not the exact thing that the rabbis prohibited when they told you not to move muktzah. They just told you not to directly move muktzah. So according to most rabbis, but not all, according to most, it would be permissible for you to tug at the bedspread, because the bedspread is something you want to get to the bed, and that's a permissible activity. The bedspread is removed at night when you want to go to sleep. So as you remove the bedspread, which you're allowed to be doing, then you're incidentally or indirectly moving the cell phone also. Again, you'd have to try to glide it down to the floor in a way that it won't get smashed or ruined. But seemingly, according to most rabbis, if you were to just remove the bedspread and have the cell phone end up on the floor through that mechanism, that too would be a permissible way of getting the cell phone off of your bed. But stay tuned after Shabbos when we got a little more for you where there's more problems. There are more problems, and they are the problems of basis, when something has been placed on another item to be a base to stay there for Shabbos. Then the bed becomes prohibited as muktzah to be moved even after the cell phone's gone. So stay tuned for that detail coming up on Sunday. Thanks for logging on. Have a great Shabbos. Bye-bye.